Okay, and today we're going to talk specifically about the child support aspect of family law. So what is child support?
Child support is a cash payment made by one parent for the basic needs of a child in someone else's.
This kind of payment.
Child support is meant to be paid to a parent or other custodian of a minor child.
Mm-hmm. And so that could be not just parents, but also
it could be
guardians.
A guardian or a grandparent or a foster parent.
Okay. To the other parent of your child, does that affect it?
No, it doesn't. There's a slightly different process that's necessary for someone who's not married.
Mm-hmm.
What would have to happen first for an unmarried couple is paternity would need to be established.
Okay.
Signing an acknowledgement of paternity
Mm-hmm.
at or around the time of the birth of the child,
Okay.
or by the court ordering genetic marker testing, and then the court later establishing paternity of the child.
Both mothers and fathers can be required to pay child support, right?
Yes,
depending on
that's
which
true.
one is not.
Whichever one
Custodial.
is not the custodial parent must pay child support. And I do want to emphasize, I want to be very clear that both parents have an obligation to support their children.
Typically must pay child support.
The parents who do not have custody of their child. And so in some cases that could be both parents who are obligated to pay child support.
Okay. And what temporarily removed from the home or placed in the custody, but that you're not certain that it's permanent. Are there child support payments required in those situations?
There could be. Those are made on a case-by-case determination by the court.
But it's possible?
It is possible.
Okay. Now, what if a non-custodial waive their obligation to pay child support?
No, it does not. The law specifically says that even if someone does not have visitation with a child, they still must pay child support.
Or even if a non-custodial parent, they're still kept separate?
Yes, they are. They still must pay their child support.
Okay. Now, how does a person get an order for child support? How does a custodial parent or a guardian get that order? Where do they start?
Well, that can happen usually one of two ways, additional assistance or DTA. At the time that they sign up for the welfare benefits, they subrogate their rights to collect cash child support. That means that they assign their right to child support over to the state.
Okay.
And so in those instances, the state...
Are there any exceptions to this requirement that you sign up for child support collection?
Yes, there are, and it's important that we have those because if a custodial parent fears that signing up for child support service will endanger themselves or...
Okay. So what if the person is looking for the child support benefit isn't on public benefits, and so they don't go through the DTA? How do they get started?
They can apply for Department of Revenue Child Support Enforcement Division to assist them, hire a private attorney to help them.
Well, let's go through some of the steps if they decide to go through and do it on their own. How do you begin that request for child support on your own?
The first step is to file a complaint with the court. They would go to file a paper called a complaint that outlines what they want the court to do and why they think they're entitled to the relief.
Okay. Now, what kind of documents does a person need to bring with them when they fill out one of these complaints?
They should bring a birth certificate for the child, a medication.
Okay. And now you mentioned that in this county, people apply at the Worcester Probate and Family Court. Is that always the case? Where do people, how do they know which county probate and family court to go to?
Usually the complaint for child support should be filed where the parent or guardian and child, the complaint should be filed in the county where the child lives.
Okay. Now, I think I've heard you mention before that there are different types of complaints. So how does a person know which type to file, and what do they do right after they file it?
A complaint for divorce, but now are wishing to divorce.
Right.
A complaint for separate support can contain a claim for child support. That's for people who are married but are now living separately but are not intending to divorce at any time soon.
Okay.
There can also be a complaint, and there can also be a complaint to establish support, custody, and visitation for a child born to unmarried parents.
I see, so more than one specific.
There are different...
Okay. And so once folks fill out the complaint, what's the next step? What do they have to do with that complaint?
After they fill out the complaint, the registry will stamp it as filed. They'll assign a number to it, and then the person who filed it will have to serve the other party, which means drop off the complaint with the other party.
Okay. Now, I'm sure one question that a lot of our guests wonder about is how much will a child support payment be?
That depends. The amount of the child support guidelines formula recommends that the non-custodial parent pay a certain percentage of his or her income in child support. But there are certain adjustments that are made. First, if the custodial parent earns more than $20,000, the child support amount, health insurance is something that is either added on or taken away from the amount of the child support order, depending on who pays it. For example, if the non-custodial parent is providing health insurance for the children, then he or she could receive a credit. And as for the custodial parent, if he or she is providing it, then there would be an addition of half of the cost of the premium.
Okay. So what happens if that non-custodial parent is unemployed?
Everyone must pay some. If the non-custodial parent is unemployed, then benefits such as unemployment benefits, workers' compensation, some kinds of Social Security, and other benefits can be used to determine their income.
I see.
Also, if a judge finds that it is voluntarily underemployed or unemployed, then they may be able to do what's called an attribution of income to that parent, meaning that they say this is what you should or could be earning, and we're going to say that you are for purpose.
Okay. And what about, you mentioned the different, kinds of benefits. How does SSDI, how do SSDI benefits, the Social Security disability income, affect a non-custodial parent's child support payments?
If a non-custodial parent receives SSDI, and in most cases that dependency allotment will operate as child support for the minor children. In some cases, the non-custodial parent may have to supplement that amount from the Social Security Administration. It's a case-by-case determination made by the court. I think what people are talking about is things that they provide for the child's use, such as diapers, clothing, shoes. Purchases such as those are not considered to be in the place of child support.
Right. Okay.